afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the captain. Time for an update on this second sea day since we left Halifax. And just gone 12 o'clock noon. And as we head eastward, another opportunity for our clocks to leap forward by 1 hour all of a sudden, as we lose an hour. And all of a sudden it's now 2 minutes past 1 in the afternoon and all the dining rooms are open for lunch. So where are we now? 45 degrees and 34 minutes north, 44 degrees and 36 minutes west. Our current closest point of land is out on the port quarter. It's Cape Spear in Newfoundland. It's about 350 nautical miles away, and Cape Spear is located on the Avalon Peninsula near St. John's. It is the easternmost point in Canada and the easternmost point of the continent of North America. So overnight we continued on an easterly heading since I spoke to you yesterday, until around 10:30 last night, and then we started our Great Circle track, which will take us in a curving course across the North Atlantic Ocean and directly towards Bishop Rock. It's all a smooth single curve all the way. Between 9 p.m. yesterday evening and 3 o'clock in the morning, we crossed the tail of the bank, just at the southern end of the Grand Banks of Newfoundland, and at midnight we passed 115 nautical miles north of the Titanic, and she lies in deep water just to the south of the tail of the bank. And once we'd crossed the bank at 3 o'clock in the morning, the depths beneath us fell away down to around 3,000 metres. But now there's another patch of shallower water just to the north of us, 60 miles to the north, and that area is Flemish Cap. And Flemish Cap is an area of shallow waters, roughly centred 350 miles east of St. John's. And the shallow waters caused by a wide underwater plateau which covers an extended area of 12,000 square miles with depths over the cap ranging between 100 and 700 metres. And it's located within an area of transition between the cold waters of the Labrador Current and the warmer waters influenced by the North Atlantic Current, which itself is an extension of the Gulf Stream. And the mixing of the warmer and the colder waters produces a characteristic clockwise circulation over the cap, and the body of water is deeper and warmer than the Grand Banks, and the Grand Banks themselves were suspected as having served as an important refuge for marine species during the last ice age. But the waters now provide fishing grounds comparable in content and quality with that of the Grand Banks. And as the Grand Banks lie within the 200 nautical mile exclusive economic zone from the coast of Canada, and are now policed to protect the fisheries over the Grand Banks, many of the fishing boats have now moved further offshore, and so they favour the area over the Flemish Cap instead, as it is in international waters outside the 200-mile exclusive zone. So interestingly, the Flemish Cap was also a filming location for the 2000 film The Perfect Storm, starring everyone's favourite swordboat captain George Clooney. And that tells the slightly fictionalised story of the fishing vessel Andrea Gale and her fate when hit by a very large storm in the area. Fortunately out there, no very large storms, but somewhat foggy. So the Atlantic, as I have said to you previously, is characteristically grey today. Here's Kevin Morrissey with some of the numbers.
Thank you very much, Captain. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Since departure from Halifax until noon today, Queen Mary 2 has steamed a total distance of 523 nautical miles at an average speed of just over 22 knots. This leaves a further distance of 1,780 nautical miles left to the nav pilot station in Southampton. The ship's heading is 067 degrees and our current speed is 23.5 knots. The depth under the keel is just 4,000 meters or 13,100 feet, and the sea temperature is 16 Celsius or 61 Fahrenheit. There is a slight southerly swell of up to 1.5 meters or 4 feet. Weather at present, as the captain said, currently sailing through a dense fog bank. Temperatures are 20 Celsius or 68 Fahrenheit. Winds from the south, 4-6, which is a strong breeze on the Beaufort scale, 25 to 26 knots. Advection fog occurs when moist air passes over a cool surface and is cooled. It is also common at sea when moist tropical air moves over cooler waters. If the wind blows in the right direction, then sea fog can become transported over coastal land areas. Weather forecast for this evening into tomorrow calls for temps to slightly drop to around 18 Celsius or 64 Fahrenheit. And looking to stay within the fog for over the next 24 hours or so with a potential break. Winds from the south also up to 15 knots, decreasing. And ladies and gentlemen, as the captain also said, the famous movie The Perfect Storm having taken place just north of us, and being a former Coast Guard member myself, I will leave you with a quote. To the Coast Guard is charged protection of life and ships upon the sea. To this end, the service bends its every energy, often at the expense of its other varied duties. Humanitarian is the term that has been given to this phase of Coast Guard activity, and humanitarian the service is. No night too stormy, no seas too high, no shoals too forbidding to restrain our cutters from their work of saving life. The same heroic spirit of self-sacrifice and disregard of personal danger that was fostered by our predecessors in the service's infancy pervades the service today, not only on large, seaworthy cutters and powerful destroyers, but also on the tiny eggshell craft that patrol nearly every mile of our far-flung coast. Ladies and gentlemen, I do hope you have a wonderful afternoon on board Queen Mary 2, and I will now hand you over to our German hostess,